Hey, welcome back. And in this video, we're going to talk about multiplying rational expressions. Do you remember how to multiply fractions? Here's an example. 2/3 times 3/4. Well, there's the hard way, which would be 2 times 3 divided by 3 times 4, and then simplify that. Or there's an easier way, and that is if you see a common factor in the numerator and the denominator, you can cancel it out before you even start multiplying. So you have a choice. You can either multiply then simplify, or you can make your life really easy and simplify first and then multiply. So in this case, if I did that, notice that my 3 in the numerator and the 3 in the denominator would just divide out. And then I would be left with 2 divided by 4. 2 divided by 4, common factor of 2. We would end up making that just 1/2. Okay? All right. Really, really similar when we're talking about multiplying rational expressions. What we're looking at, the product of two rational expressions is the product of the numerators divided by the product of the denominators. And of course, we would simplify that product as much as we could. Okay, so how do we go about doing this? Well, the very first thing, when we're finding a product of rational expressions, we are going to take all the numerators and all the denominators and factor them. Okay, so we're going to factor all numerators and denominators. And we can actually write that as one big factored numerator divided by one big factored denominator. It's really a nice way to do it, because the next step, we are going to divide out any common factors. Okay, divide out any common factors. So anytime you see a factor that occurs both in the numerator and the denominator, doesn't matter if they're sitting right on top of each other or not, if you see that, you can divide them out. All right, and then the last thing is we're going to simplify our result. Simplify the resulting product. Okay, so I have an example for us to work through here. And we're just going to work through it as easy as 1, 2, and 3. All right. Let's take this rational expression and multiply it by this rational expression. Let's factor all our numerators. All right. So this first numerator, it's pretty much factored. There's nothing I can do there. Okay. So I can say that that first numerator is just going to be x plus 3. This numerator here, we have a quadratic that will factor by looking at factors of 6 that subtract to make 1. Okay, so what are factors of 6 that subtract to make 1? Well, I think that would be x, and we've got 3 and 2, right? And the larger of these two values will always take the sign of that middle term. So this is going to be x minus 3 and x plus 2. So let's go ahead and put those there. X plus 2 and x minus 3. Okay, so all my numerators are represented in my product. All right, so now let's look at what we got going on here. We have x squared minus 4. Do you recognize that as a difference of squares? You should. Okay, and so that's going to be x plus 2 times x minus 2. X plus 2 and x minus 2. And then I've got x squared plus 6x plus 9. And I want to think about things that multiply to make 9, that add to make 6. Do you know what they are? hopefully you were able to say that that's x plus 3 times x plus 3. All right, so I've got x plus 3 times x plus 3. All right, and so we have this great big fraction, great big rational expression. So now what we're going to do is we're going to examine the factors in the numerator and the denominator. And anytime I see something that is common, I want to divide it out. So let's start at the beginning with the numerator. Do I see an x plus 3 in the denominator? I do. I actually see 2 of them, but I can only divide out 1 because there's only 1 here in the numerator. So I'm going to divide out x plus 3 with x plus 3. How about x plus 2? Do you see one of those in the denominator? I certainly do. I see one right here. All right. And so this would be x plus 2 divided by x plus 2, and that's just going to become 1. And then I'm looking for x minus 3 here, and I don't see anything. Okay, so there's nothing that matches this x minus 3, so I leave it alone. All right, and so now I have divided out all my common factors. Now I want to simplify any resulting product. So I'm looking at this, I'm going to actually multiply the denominator out, and that will be my final answer. The numerator is going to just stay x minus 3. And the denominator, I'm going to go ahead and multiply these 2 factors out, x minus 2 times x plus 3. And I'm going to end up with x squared. And then I have x times 3 is 3x plus negative 2 times x, negative 2x. So that's just going to be plus 1x, or just x. And then negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. And so our final answer here, when I multiplied these 2 rational expressions, I end up with this rational expression of x minus 3 times x squared plus x minus 6. All right, in our next video, we're going to go the next step after multiplication. What do you think that is? After we multiply, we usually follow with division. We're going to talk about how do we divide rational expressions. And there's not much more to what we just did when we talk about dividing rational expressions. I'll see you then.